I've been really excited about this one. We finally got him back. Ozo Grande, Kenny Berry, touchdowns and tangents. First of all, thank you for giving. I know you're really busy these days. Thanks for giving me a couple minutes. Uh, it's been too long, buddy. I'm proud of all the work you're doing. You're a CSUN alum. You're out there rolling it. We were texting. You were at Big Ten Media Day. So I mean, what's it been like? What's the last couple of years been like? You're at the Combine. You're at the Senior Bowl. What's that all been like for you, buddy?
It's been great. It's definitely had its own set of challenges, but I think that's where you learn, like in the logistics part. Like there's certain things like let's say even not having a battery charger can really kind of dictate how your trip's gonna go.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So for me, like just making sure I have I overpacked when I went to Vegas.
Mhm.
Um, I was like I didn't even need this many clothes, but you know it's I've heard horror stories. People have lost their bags. I got stranded in the desert for like 9 hours. So like for me, it was I try to just make sure I have like all my charging equipment, enough clothes, enough snacks, enough food, and then everything else I'll just figure out along the way.
Now you do the touchdowns and tangents podcast. I want to shout out your guy Pete Camarillo. Pete's I gotta get Pete as well. I gotta get him on. Um, you've been doing that a while now. What else fills up your week? Well, who else you working for these days, Kenny?
So when the season starts back up, sometimes I do interview spots with a good guy by the name of Memphis Spence. He has his own radio situation set up because he knows like I cover USC. I cover pretty much the whole West Coast.
Hmm.
Um, and once a week or every other couple weeks, I'll go on his show, give some updates. And I have two nephews, so they definitely take up my time and all my patience. But it's that's and then work. Like it's gonna be my third year at NFL Network and my fourth season technically. So mostly just that, keeping me busy. And nephews keeping me young.
The league where they play for pay, the National Football League. By the way, I know about your nephews because of your Twitter feed, and I was looking at your Twitter feed. I'm like, man, you have more followers than me, but you should have way more than you have. I mean, if you it's at Ozo Grande, OZOGRANDE. We'll have it up on the screen, but I mean, you are a master at that game. I guess they call it X now, but the old Twitter, Ozo Grande, always entertaining. You always want to tune in because you never know what you're going to miss. And that's how I learned about your lesson. You have great nephew stories.
Thank you, thank you. Uh, they do things that make me just realize, you know what, my mom was kind of right. Like I was a handful with my mom looking back because like I
Yeah.
see what they do to my sister, and I just kind of laugh and I'm like you got to discipline him. I'm like I did the same thing. I've done the same thing. They're like that's why you need to discipline. You got to be the one to tell them.
Uh,
So that aspect of being an uncle. Honestly, it's with them. When I come through, they know to stop. Like they don't do certain things and terrorizing. When Uncle Kenny comes around, they're like, "Oh, it's Uncle Kenny." It's just funny though. It's funny that like I've become that guy now in their lives.
that's good. That's positive. You're a positive presence. Um, business, Big Ten Media Day. I watched the Deshaun Foster press conference where you got to ask a question. What are some takeaways from Big Ten Media Day? Did you enjoy it? How was the work? What'd you think about the coaches that you got to talk to and people you got to interact with?
It was great. It's always a grind because like you see like what they show on TV and then the whole process. It's interesting. If you've never seen how TV is made, I think that's something that everybody should like at least do once. Um, For me, I think Oregon still stands out. It's like they always find a way to be a contender. I would say Dan Lanning has hit massively in high school recruiting. That's why he's so relevant. Ohio State's always going to have the money. Michigan has discipline. Um, they might not always have the players, but they just had one of their tight end go like ninth overall in the draft. So I just think the biggest issue that everybody's been talking about is automatic qualifying spots for the college football playoff. The Big Ten really wants like six, but they'll settle for four. Kurt Signetti at Indiana, love that. He's a soundbite every time you talk to him. He's gonna say something. He just let me know, like, yeah, we're gonna take SEC approach because they canceled the home and home with Virginia. He's like, well, if the SEC can play FCS opponents and not play, a full schedule in league, and they can play cupcakes in November, December, why can't the Big Ten do it? And honestly, it's a fair point. Head to head, the Big Ten smacked the SEC. Texas lost. Ohio State won the national championship. So it's getting to the point where in about, let's say, 5 years, there's really only going to be three major conferences left. It's just going to be uh, the Big Ten, the SEC, and the Big 12, and everybody else is going to be playing catch up. We're going to have to super combine, but the Pac-12 kind of screwed that up when they could have just had a super conference with the Mountain West. But that's you can go back and look at some of my questions from the last two Pac-12 media days.
Mhm. The last year of the Pac-12 was a really good football season, I thought. And what's interesting is that they didn't know what they were selling, you know? And that's the interesting thing about it is where the people in charge asleep at the wheel because the deal they wanted to get, had they waited till October, they probably could have gotten from the TV side. But instead, everybody out for their own interests. I mean, I don't know what you feel about it. I think UCLA kind of held the card there because USC going to the Big Ten, I think that's kind of on brand. And I felt maybe UCLA should have said, we're going to stay Pac-12. If you want to go take Oregon or Washington, go ahead and take them. We're going to stay. Once UCLA left and USC left, that was obviously a big blow to just the continuity and the tradition of the Pac-12. It kind of shifted the goalposts a little bit. It shifted the continental plates of college football. But not to relitigate that, Kenny. But what do you feel the future is? Are we? I've heard a lot of people talk about it. Have you? The Tim Pernetti made a point about it the other day. Some of the Group of Five schools are trying to make something going forward. But the best model, and he wasn't the only guy to do it. Is it time that you just nationalize football? Is it time to just go to that, 130 schools that are playing FBS football? You split them up into, the Power Five and everybody else, and you have two 65 team conferences and just play it out nationally by region.
Uh, I just there's too much money at the top, and I think if we were going to have an honest conversation about we should, how we should really brand all the conferences, we would not let the SEC and the Big Ten have so much power. And I think it's with NIL, with that going, I think the president tried to sign an executive order to restrict players getting paid, which is really just going to cause an antitrust lawsuit. There's too much money on the table
Yeah, yeah.
for teams to care about old conference relationships. Like UCLA, that was the smartest thing they could have done. USC said, we're not going unless you take UCLA. That's too much money to be left on the table for them not to play each other.
Right. No, I understand that. I understand
Oregon and
that.
Washington sold them out. Yeah, so it's like the purity of college football in that aspect is kind of gone,
Right, right.
especially with this playoff and how you got schools complaining, but it's like you lost to Bama. No, Bama, you lost to Vandy.
The Mountain West had kind of built up. They were kind of a good niche market conference. They were competitive in football. They had some interesting football with Boise State. And Hawaii obviously with the late game, they really good in basketball recently in the last 5 or 6 years. Why would those top teams, San Diego State and Fresno, like why would they want to go to a Pac-12 that's not the old? I mean, this is left. I equate it to. I remember reading, and Bill Carter wrote a book called The Late Shift about when Johnny Carson retired, and it was going to be Leno and Letterman, and they got the executives got cold feet with Letterman with Leno. So NBC hires Leno, and Leno gets the show, and Letterman obviously is upset by it. And then about a year into it, they're not sure is Leno going to work or not, and they call Letterman and they say, Letterman, hey, if Jay doesn't do his job by the end of whatever, 18 months, we'll bring you in and you can take over the Tonight Show. And it was actually one of Johnny Carson's old advisors, Peter Lassley, been a producer on the Johnny Carson Tonight Show, that told Letterman, he said, listen, you're not getting the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. You're getting the Jay Leno Tonight Show. And that's very different. It's not the brand it was when they gave it to Jay. So you're better off making a deal with somebody else. You're better off making a deal with CBS. And that's kind of how I see. I mean, I guess it's money. We talked about how it's money, but are they making money, Kenny? Is San Diego State, Colorado State, Utah State, Fresno State, is the financial wherewithal going to be worth it for them to have abandoned the Mountain West and gone to a newly constituted Pac-12? And I haven't seen the numbers. Maybe you have. You mentioned they don't have a TV deal yet. What do you think was the thought process in those schools abandoning the Mountain West without trying to get some leverage and then moving over to the new Pac-12?
It's kind of like that girl or that person that rejects you in high school, and then you get a second chance at them, like after high school or after college, and it's like you're not really married to it, but it's like it's an ego thing. And also, with the Mountain West, like the media day, they talk about how they made upwards of like 92 to $94 million from all their TV deals, and now they're doing revenue sharing because the other teams are leaving. I think the schools themselves will find a way to be good in football. The conference hasn't shown that it's going to be mature enough to hold all these teams up. And yeah, you got all that money that Oregon State and Washington State are splitting.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have a vision, they say about a fool and his money will soon part ways. So I just think that they're gonna have to be competitive very fast, or it's not gonna work. And then, like you look at a school like Sacramento State, they played themselves. They could have probably got an invitation from the Mountain West, but the rules are if you don't get an invite from a conference, you can't just leave and jump from D2 to D1, and that's what Sacramento State tried to do. So now they're out of their conference, they're independent, and they got a bunch of money that they don't have to split with anybody. In some ways, that's a good thing. In some ways, it's smart. It's a risky gamble, but it's also like the other schools. It was a risky gamble for all the other Pac-12 schools to go to the Big 12, but it looks really smart in hindsight now. It has to financially make sense, and I think with the money they've gotten from suing the other conferences, I think you give them a couple of years. But if they don't have like a really good TV deal, because this whole thing's gonna reset in about a year and a half
Yeah.
with the TV deals and everything, and like it's like they don't talk about it, but yeah, when Cal and Stanford, they're gonna try to get out of the ACC.
Oh, they have to.
Even if they face, I'm surprised the Big 12 let SMU even go to the ACC, but they did. And then Memphis offered up $250 million to come to the Big 12, and the Big 12 pretty much rejected them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like schools aren't gonna add another, like, unless you're the Pac-12, the Mountain West, where you have to add schools, or Grand Canyon. Their Grand Canyon University is going to be joining the Mountain West a year earlier than expected. Um, so it's not like the Mountain West doesn't have any money and won't last. They're making UNLV the centerpiece, which
Yeah.
is smart because it's Vegas. Everything's from Vegas, WrestleMania, the national championship game for college football, everything. So if you can capitalize on that, and even like I've asked other coaches from across the country. I'm like, hey, what does NIL look like where you live? Because everybody talks about NIL, but like, NIL at CSUN will look totally different. Like me, if I was an athlete, I'm trying to get all the food NIL deals I can for the squad, obviously. Whether it's relaxation or like recovery equipment, you know, maybe somebody gets me like a free massage table. I don't know, like one of those water jet massage tables. Like I would be looking towards that. Like certain brand deals, that's going to be the key to fund these schools. Because like the Mountain West, they have a brand deal with Apple now, so all their sideline equipment will be Apple equipment going forward, and that's a big deal for them. And like the Big Ten, they talked about some brand deals. They got PayPal, so it really just comes down to how do you utilize the resources you already have to maximize where you want to go. Nothing that the Pac-12 has done historically has shown that they're ready for that. When Larry Scott could have easily accepted Texas and Oklahoma, we'd be sitting in a totally different world right now.
Well, but I mean, to be fair, and Larry Scott deserves his criticism. That was completely ESPN. I mean, they were ready to come. All those schools were ready to come, and the good old boys at Texas lined up with ESPN and said, "Listen, don't worry about it. It'll be taken care of." And that was it. I had Raheel Ramazali, who covers Tech. He's a UT alum. He covers college football in Texas. Said the mistake the Pac-12 made was when they didn't get him the first time. They should have kept coming, because eventually, you got to put your cards on the table. It's like when you're playing poker, you got to bet it through. If you keep checking through, everybody else is going to check through. You got the cards, you got to bet it in. You got to bet it in to get people into that pool. But I did want to ask you the final question is about those, Stanford, Cal, and SMU in play. That's what I think is going to be, where do they end up going? Is the Big Ten going to take them? Is the Big 12 going to take them? Or do they potentially go to this newfangled Pac-12? And I think SMU is going to be the big pawn there. Whoever can land them, like Big 12 seems to be the natural landing spot for them if they leave the ACC. But I do think now with Texas State in the Pac-12, the new Pac-12, that might be attractive for SMU across the board. And then obviously Stanford and Cal would be a much more natural fit to be in a California heavy conference.
Yeah, I think Stanford and Cal kind of screwed it up. I mean, they should have stuck it out with Oregon State and Washington State, or they should have just said, "Hey, They should have pushed hard. Let's just combine with the Mountain West now. The TV deal will look stronger with us four at the table. They'll have to like legitimately do good business." Then that would have helped the negotiations for the Mountain West. There would have been a guaranteed, okay, there's a West Coast conference. Like that actually has West Coast schools geographically that makes sense.
Why do you think Washington State and I kind of agree with you that seemed to be a more natural fit. Why do you think Wazoo and Oregon State passed on that?
Washington and Oregon left them to die on the vine. And now they only play each other every other year or once every 5 years. So like when you gotta leave, you gotta leave. In this particular case, I think like Cal and Stanford just don't make sense being in the ACC. The travel is terrible. The athletes have been complaining about it. We all knew it was never. It's like if CSUN was in the Big East, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Like why is CSUN in the Big East? Like I don't care how much the money is, but like it doesn't make sense on the day to day. You can't be out here trying to play Providence on a Friday night. It's not
Hmm.
going to end well for you when you got to turn around and come back, or somebody has a Saturday morning class. So I just think like SMU, I don't think they come to the Pac-12 unless they're getting the red carpet treatment, which I don't see. They already read up with the ACC for another year,
Right.
so they can't do anything for at least 2 years.
Well, it's a little different though, because I don't think they're
Uh,
getting them. They're not getting money, right?
yeah, no, they paid in.
Yeah.
They paid out of pocket to come back, so they lost that option to where like, oh well, we can jet. They have to stay put.
Oh,
The
okay.
Ace, the Cal and Stanford though, because the bigger deal is the reports came out, and this was kind of some of the underlying buzz at Big Ten Media Day, is that the Big Ten is coming for the Carolina schools. North Carolina, I wouldn't be surprised if they pull Duke somehow, but they're coming for the Carolina schools. Clemson might jet to the SEC. Miami and Florida State might jet to the Big Ten because they want out of the ACC at this point. And Miami's a brand, Florida State's a brand. They'll be fine no matter where they go. But they want in on the action, and I don't know if the Big 12 can pull that off because the Big Ten just has more teams and more prestige and more money. So the Big 12 is still fighting. I
Well,
think that their one
It's
misstep was them not.
Fox money, Fox money. It's TV money.
Yeah,
It's Fox money. So
exactly.
yeah. Um,
And then
you
this
you
quiet dance they do with Notre Dame.
that to me that's the domino. The day Notre Dame decides they want to join a conference, gonna really shift everything because they're gonna have to now just
Yeah.
for the money aspect of it, and I mean it's just for the regional aspect of it, and they'll work the money out because obviously they have their own TV deal. Whoever it is, Big 12, ACC, Big 10, they'll say, listen guys, we'll work the money out at some way because obviously they're not giving up money to join a conference. They would need to enhance what they already do. I did want to touch on a point you brought up, though. You brought up Sac State. And Sac State, from all indications now, they're parking their sports in the Big West. Football obviously is going to be an FCS independent, and they want to go FBS. Have you looked at this at all, Kenny? Is it legitimate? Now, listen, we see schools going FBS now. I mean, Delaware elevated from the FCS to the FBS because obviously there's money on the table, right? The way I look at it is, if you and I are selling chicken wings and everybody else wants burgers, we better have burgers on the menu. And I think that's the way Sac State is looking at it. From a money standpoint, is this is there any legitimacy to this at all, or is it a complete pipe dream? Pipe dream from what you've heard.
It's incredibly legitimate. They got that money very fast. Sacramento is one of the top markets on the West Coast. I just think they overplayed their hand when they said, well, we want to join the Pac 12 specifically. You don't hitch your wagon to a losing team. You don't, if you still have a chance at the prom queen, you don't just throw that away. Like,
Okay.
you were still in the running to join other conferences. And the Big West was cool for a very long time. So I just think in their regard, like, fine, you got everything in the Big West. That's good, but you got to look at what some of the other schools did. Look what Sam Houston State did. Sam Houston State was winning national championships on the D2 level, and Jacksonville State was D2 as well, and they slowly worked their way back. But I think it's crazy. It's unprecedented because Marion is a first-year head coach. He's coming off one of the greatest seasons in UNLV football history. So I think this is almost bigger than when Dion went to Colorado, because this is at Sacramento State. Other than Ramesses Barden and a couple other people I think Jackson Slater, who just got drafted. Like, Sacramento State's not known for its football, but California is such a hotbed that, it's gonna pop. It's gonna be a great candidate to join a conference, just not right now. And I think they overplayed their hand a little bit. But maybe they were doing that on purpose because they know the TV deal situation is going to be dire in like 2 years. And yeah, the Pac 12 added Texas State, but I'm sorry, there's no aura there. Adding adding Texas State when you turn down Oklahoma and Texas is like the dude who, like, it didn't work out with Beyonce. Like, I don't think you really want to be known for that.
3 years from now, where is Sacramento State playing football, Kenny?
Pac 12,
Okay.
just
Okay.
because they're going to work themselves into a positive position, And I don't think the Mountain West wants to do business with people who openly say, okay, I want to join the Pac 12, because now you look like a second tier option. And they don't market themselves as a second tier conference or a second tier option. They model themselves as a conference of consistency in an ever changing landscape of college football. They're still getting players to the NFL more than some other conferences. So, I think they're going to find their way. They'll force their way into the Pac 12 one way or another. Um, Academics will be there. It's already there. They want to see how those facilities turn out.
Right. They're getting new facilities. I'm just curious if the big push is with football, but there are other sports that need to come along as well. And I do think for all their other sports, they're a pretty decent fit in the Big West. Um, I want to move on to one of your employers, Kenny. Now, your podcast is Touchdowns and Tangents. It's about football, and specifically NFL football. Um, where is the state, in your opinion? You cover the sport. You've been engrossed in the sport. I mean, since I knew you, since you were a student at CSUN. What's the state of the National Football League right now? It's obviously king in terms of the fan, but from a business standpoint, let's look 5 or 10 years down the road. What do you feel? Give me some thoughts on the National Football League.
I mean, the league is printing money. It's 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 obvious with all the streaming deals and everything going on, and how global things are going to be. It's it's an American pastime, but it's a global game now. With just all the different programs, the foreign programs bringing guys over. Like, people didn't know, like, if Jordan Mailata was gonna, if it was gonna work. Now he's one of the best left tackles in football, having arguably a Hall of Fame career. Um,
So you
so
like, do you
when you,
like the overseas games, Kenny?
I mean, it's definitely interesting. It's better on a Thursday night when it's two teams suck. At least, like, oh, they're in Great Britain. Like, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to learn something in this broadcast. Like, I prefer the overnight. I prefer the overseas games when it's two teams that maybe aren't that good. Like, you know what? Go ahead and send the Jaguars and the Patriots overseas. Like, that's fine. It's almost like when they had Notre Dame and Georgia Tech go over. Like, yeah, that was cool. It's a good change of pace. It keeps it fresh. And some of those places I'm trying to visit later in life. So, yeah, I like it. You can't really you can't fight like the inevitable with certain things. So, like, they eventually, like, to go back to college a little bit, the Big 12 talked about having soccer games in Mexico. There's gonna be more football games in Mexico. We already seen if there's a market for it, the league is gonna go there. And I think that's just the part that everybody has to remember. Like, it's the same thing with wrestling. They love wrestling all around the world. So what's the league gonna do? What's TKO gonna do? What's the NFL gonna do? They're gonna go where there's a demand and there's a want. And that's what we're looking at right now.
Do you risk doing some of what the NFL, I'm sorry, the NBA and Major League Baseball did, where you're kind of turning, I mean, NFL is a different model, obviously, but do you risk maybe alienating some of the hardcore fans at the interest of the casual fan? Maybe he's going to go to one game a year. Like I look at a team like the Buffalo Bills, and they're kind of the only team in town, and their season ticket holder base is, you got to, you're if you want to get season tickets to the Bills, you're going to go on a waiting list, and it's years to get on that. If you want to get on that list this year, maybe we get a call in 7 or 8 years. And now you're taking a home game away from them so they can play overseas. And obviously, they've expanded the schedule to 17. I heard they're doing it to 18 games. Does that risk perhaps breaking that stranglehold in those types of markets? I agree with you. If you're going to send a team overseas, send a team, maybe doesn't have that, Jacksonville's an example, doesn't have that season ticket base like maybe the Bills or the Giants or the Packers or a team like that or the Steelers. Uh, or is the NFL all powerful in that they can kind of do no wrong at this point?
At this point, the NFL doesn't have the missteps that the NBA and other leagues have had. Because, like, you know what it is with the NFL. No one's bigger than the shield. No one's bigger than the brand. It's a game of football. And honestly, I would say the explosion of popularity with girls flag football has really helped that. Because if we really think about it, in your lifetime, let's say I graduated high school 2010. If you would have told me in high school that schools would be giving full ride scholarships for girls flag football, women's flag football, men's flag football, and it's going to be in the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
I would have not believed you. I'm like, that's some dystopian future 20 years off.
Yeah.
15 years is kind of close. But I'm saying, like, it's now at the level to where kids can literally go to college playing flag football, a
That
legit scholarship.
no, and I agree with you.
That shows you the growth of the game,
No, I
and that you
absolutely agree with
can't.
you on that. And the NFL is subsidizing that, so they're into that. But I will say this: even when I was a kid, the NFL didn't have a problem with women, girls and women who were fans. There's always been, and maybe it's bigger now than it was 30 years ago, but there's always been a woman fan base for the National Football League for whatever reason. There's always been there because that sport is so big, because the NFL kind of figured it out before everybody else did how to do it, how to make them, they're a year-round thing now, you know. But yeah, I do think flag football is going to play a role in it, particularly on the college level. And you're right, they're giving scholarships now. It's going to be in the Olympics. So we've had this unprecedented growth in the last, couple of years. And you're taking these athletes. I mean, we go when I cover high school football. Generally, I get there a little bit early, and the flag teams are practicing when we're there, kind of setting up for the broadcast. So it's real interesting to see that these girls now, who maybe they do maybe soccer in the winter and softball or track in the spring, they have an outlet in the fall, athletically, to go play. And I think that's something interesting. And the NFL, I think, following the lead of what the NBA did with the WNBA, is really invested and really involved, which is something that that's what surprised me, is how they were totally on board from the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, it's like when you have something that's that big, and I mean, they just had the championships for flag football. Which the spring footballs was over. Like people just want football. Like I've covered senior bowls. I've traveled all through the South and other parts of this country. There's one thing that I can comfortably say is that if there's a football field there, if there's football to be played or to be had, fans will show up. Communities will shut down towns to pull up. So the NFL's going global. It's just like imagine growing up with like that cool family member, and then they go other places, and then you realize, oh, other people like this cool family member too. Like you kind of got to share it. You kind of got to share that person with everybody, even if it's your favorite thing or favorite person, whatever. You got to share that with other people, and that's how I look at it with like the game going global. It's like, yeah, we created a thing, and it's the most popular thing in the world, and now other people are getting introduced to it in ways that like we didn't. Like I when I was in high school, we were in the wing T. We laughed at passing league. We thought it was. We didn't consider it football, and some of these players and coaches still don't consider it football till this day. Penn State's offensive lineman gave me an amazing quote about like these flag football camps and like how sometimes they're teaching bad techniques and bad habits and like the proper way to coach some of that stuff out of the game. Like that's an ecosystem in itself. Like Pete coaches 8-year-old tackle football,
Yeah,
defensive coordinator. He never
right.
played defense in high school, but he was on the team with a bunch of 4-star athletes, and to the point where he didn't have to play defense. He could just play one way. I had to play both ways. and I played in like 3 different defensive schemes in 4 years. So it's like everybody has their their love letter with football, so to speak. And I think internationally, that's kind of what you're seeing because people coming out, people came out crazy for the Germany games.
Yeah.
Like people, those people, they love it. It's just now it's our turn to share the game. That's why I'm like, football's never been more profitable than it is right now, whether it's college, high school, or the pros. It's the most popular sport, and honestly, even if you're an athlete, you have a better chance of making it in football than you would say basketball or baseball
I mean, yeah, if you're a high school
because
athlete
there's
right now, the sport you want to be playing is football. You're right. You're right. More Scott, I mean, just more teams,
and then
more
also
opportunities.
run some track
Sorry?
for sure. Run some track, play multiple sports because that's what they tried to tell us not to do as kids, but that's what we did, and I think that's why like. And honestly, the crazy part is about the NFL thing. When you look at the injuries that kids are having now, the soft tissue injuries, that's coming from either inactivity or being overworked too much in the sport. Like kids who are playing football, basketball, like they're doing different things. They're not really necessarily getting hurt that way. Like you already know football's a dangerous game.
Yeah.
But when you look at, okay, these kids are playing flag football. They're also probably playing another sport.
Yeah.
They're also playing, some of them are playing football when they can. So it's like they're working out year round. They're always in some sort of shape. Now, if you take basketball, for example, all these soft tissue injuries, what's it coming from? Well, most of these players are wearing low top shoes. They're not like actually training and protecting their bodies in the way they should because the AAU circuit kind of poisoned high school basketball. Like it's almost too much money if you just want your kid to play it. Where it was dirt cheap when I played. Whereas with football, it's like, hey, you're not gonna be a receiver. You're gonna go play offensive line.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a set position. You're gonna figure it out.
I mean,
So I think it's
yeah.
just weird how it's weird how it's coming back full circle to where more and more kids are just choosing to play football than other sports.
I mean, the power has definitely shifted on the basketball side away from away from the traditional high school model to an AAU model. I mean, this is probably 15 years ago. I was working out in Torrance. I was covering a soccer playoff, CIF playoff match, soccer, boys soccer. The coach left in the middle of the match to go coach his travel team. And I'd never seen that before.
What?
And so now you talk to coaches. I mean, I talked to, a lot of basketball coaches. You got to have the relationship with the high school coach and you got to have those AAU relationships. Otherwise, you're not going anywhere. And it's interesting. But I want to stick to the NFL. So I got 4 questions for you, Kenny, about the NFL. All right. Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Is that going to end well or is that going to end badly?
I think it ends well. I don't think they make a Super Bowl, but I think you got Jalen Ramsey, you got Darius Slay, you got Joey Porter Jr. I think Ramsey has to play free safety. I mean, he was All American free safety. His days as an elite corner, they're just not really there. And for that defense, you trade Minka Fitzpatrick, you need somebody at that safety spot. And I think Aaron Rodgers can do enough with that offense to with DK and all those other guys. I think he can get them in the right direction. It just comes down to their offensive line. But again, it's Mike Tomlin. If you give him a veteran QB, an elite defense, and a really good offense, he tends to win 10 to 12 games. So, I think even if they don't win the Super Bowl, I think it's a win for that team because just the way it's constructed.
Patrick Mahomes. His loss and the Chiefs' loss in the Super Bowl for him and Andy Reid. Is that their swan song? Are they on their way out? Or is there a potential for a second act for that group?
I would say they're in the second act. This is the transitioning phase because Travis's career is almost over. And Xavier Worthy, had one of the greatest performances in a Super Bowl loss ever. Even though they took their foot off the gas, you know. But still, to have the game he did as the first round pick, fastest, 40 time ever. He did a lot. Rasheed Rice is going to be productive, even with the stuff hanging over his head. They just signed George Karlaftis to a fat deal. Like, the core of that team is still in place. They're gonna be contenders. I just think they're not winning another Super Bowl for a while.
Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions came close last year, didn't quite get to the Super Bowl. What's the window with them? They've lost both their coordinators. Both their coordinators from that last year's team are now head coaches elsewhere in the National Football League. What's the window for the Lions right now?
I give them 2 years. 2 years because you're gonna have to pay Gibbs pretty soon. You have to pay Brian Branch pretty soon. You're gonna have to pay Aiden Hutchinson pretty soon. The bill's gonna come due. I mean, I think they already paid Kirby Joseph, but yeah, like it's gonna be really the 2 year window.
I mean, two.
You
So that's
know,
the Super Bowl window. Two. You say 2 years right now.
I give them 2 years.
Okay. And then the last thing on the NFL, we'll move on to the next thing is there a team, and I know it's early, camp's been going on for a week. Is there a team you think that's going to come out of nowhere? There's always one of those teams in the NFL where that happens. What's the team that wasn't very good last year that's going to be good this year? Or if there's more than one, you can tell me more than one.
I hate to be a homer. I think the Raiders are different this year.
Okay. And
Genty's. I think Genty's better than Ezekiel Elliott when he came out of college, and I think like what he did at Boise State was more impressive than what Zeke did at Ohio State because he was surrounded by 5 stars. Like you knew that there was about eight to 9 men in the box every time Genty stepped out there, and he still almost rushed for 3,000 yards. And honestly, they took him out of a couple games. So I think he instantly makes the offense better. Geno is competent enough. They drafted well offensively with Thornton, 6'5", 4'3" flat, can really take the top off of defense. He can become, a niche guy for them. And then you got all the other receivers they have. Brock Bowers is a constant. The offensive line isn't bad. They just need some consistency. Um, the defense obviously is a mess because of the whole Christian Wilkins situation. But I still say that I think the Raiders are going to be right there on the bubble for one of those last playoff spots. Because I think the AFC West is arguably the best division in football.
what I was going to say is like you're talking about a division with the Broncos and the Chiefs is going to be tough, but you still think they're going to compete. That Genty's going to have like a Saquon Barkley effect on that offense.
Yeah, I think like the offense won't be a problem. I think it's going to be the defense in terms of okay, who's rushing the passer outside of Max Crosby, but that's been the problem his whole career. Like, so who's going to rush the passer opposite of Max Crosby? That's been the whole case since he got there. But I just think with that offense, it's too functionally good, and Chip Kelly knows how to, you know,
Yeah.
utilize the offense with a veteran QB who's athletic and running backs who can do things and receivers, and he'll have a bunch of motions. And you just look at what he did at Ohio State, and I'm like, I'm all in on that team winning like 10 games this year and surprising somebody because some like Cleveland's gonna fall apart at any moment. They already kind of did, but there's no way they don't fall apart again.
We talked before we turned the mic on. You moved to LA when you were 7. You're an Oakland kid, born in Oakland, but you've lived most of your life in LA, went to high school in LA. And when somebody tells me where they're from, I like to know where they went to high school. So you grew up with the Lakers, obviously. Um, any thoughts on the Bus family selling the team at total end of an era?
Oh, I was 5 years late on it because I was like, they're running out of money. We know they're broke. all these tech bros getting in the NBA, that's new money. It's like the show what the old gods and the new gods, or it was like Thor and I forget the name of the show, but it was like a show like that where they had like old gods versus new gods. It was a whole pantheon thing. That's how I look at it with the NBA. You got tech bros who have enough money to like, look, I may not know much about basketball, but I know a lot about having money and resources.
Yeah.
And that's what like the Lakers had. The Lakers had to do that. Jeannie Buss had to do that, and eventually she might get forced out. But the NBA doesn't really want that old money anymore. It doesn't do anything. It's like that's why like Al Davis has had to not Al Davis, Mark Davis has had to pivot the way he's had to pivot with the Aces and the soccer teams and everything else
Mm.
because the Raiders ain't really cutting it the way they used to. So the way I see it, the Lakers had to do it, and really, like Bron has so much money, I wouldn't be surprised if he owns an NBA team. Me personally, I was like, hey man, just trade him and Bronny to Charlotte and get LaMelo out of there. But like, hey Bron, you can go do whatever you want in Charlotte. You can buy the team when you ready to retire. Because giving him $52 million, knowing Luka's the future, it's like, what are we doing now? It's like I get it. He's one of the greatest players of all time, but as a franchise, you can't let like Kobe earned that money at the end of his career. LeBron, they had a bubble chip that nobody really respects, and true Lakers fans don't respect that chip. I don't. I didn't really. I mean, like it's the COVID championship. Somebody had to win it. I mean, but
Better to win it than not win it. But the
yeah,
Laker tradition is, I mean, Magic 5 in 9 years. Magic and Kareem won 5 in 9 years. Obviously, the three-peat with Shaq and Kobe. You know, that's what Laker fans are thinking about.
yeah, and they haven't been successful in that regard. They've been outmatched and outwitted in free agency. Guys they could have had. So it's like, yeah, something needs to change because the narrative was the Buss family's broke and it's only a matter of time, and they're not successful. And LeBron has you over a barrel because you gave him $52 million.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Jerry Buss was Jerry Buss, and if you've not watched the HBO series, you got Jason Schumann did a tremendous job on the
Yep.
based on Jeff Pearlman's Winning Time book. It's fantastic and just shows you how much of a maverick and what Jerry Buss did. And you talk about being broke. I mean, he was on the edge. He was burning at both ends from the time he bought the team. So it just shows you what a great card player Jerry Buss was. But I will say this: here's the one mistake I thought Jerry Buss made. At a certain point, he should have mended fences with Pat Riley. And he should have called Pat
Yeah.
Riley and said, Pat, I know you're winning championships in Miami, but you're a Laker. There's a scene, you probably watched it. There's the scene in the HBO show where Red Auerbach goes to Larry Bird and says, you're a bleeping Celtic, you know? And that, I think, was the conversation that maybe in 2009, 2010, or probably not 2010, because that's when he signed LeBron. After LeBron left, that's the conversation that he and Pat Riley needed to have about bringing him back. And it's interesting because if you watched, there was a Hulu series, and when Pat Riley talks about Jerry Buss, Dr. Buss, he gets super emotional. I mean, he comes to tears on camera. That's, Pat Riley's a tough New York Irish guy, upstate, but to see him touched like that when talking about his old boss was like, huh, that guy would have come back if they'd asked him in the right way.
For sure. For sure.
All right, buddy. Last thing before I let you go. I had to ask you about it. We need to have a fast food conversation. Okay. So, obviously I'm getting up there in age, so I can't eat the way I used to. But I did about 2 weeks ago. I stopped by the new Cane's on Ventura Boulevard. I don't think we've talked about Cane's, the new chicken finger outlet. What are your thoughts on Cane's? Thumbs up, thumbs down? How do you feel about
I give Canes a thumbs up. They're not a main event player,
them?
but
Okay.
they are definitely really good. Their lemonade's too sweet. As a type 2 diabetic whose diabetes is in remission, I can't be drinking all that sweet lemonade. It's a little bit too much. Now, I will say Canes because there's already like when I was talking to Boise State's head coach Spencer Danielson, he was like, "We got a Canes too in Idaho." Because the last time I talked to him, they only had one in and out. Now they have two. They're about to have three. So it's funny, like talking to people from other places who are really excited about
Yeah.
Canes. I'm like, there's like three Canes in me. There's one in El Segundo. There's one in Gardena. I'm surrounded by Canes in like four different ways, and it's good. The food's good. There's one at the Galleria. Yeah, there's like three near me right now.
Well,
But
you mentioned your health. I know you're
I
trying.
give them a B plus.
I know you're trying to eat healthier right now, but
I
let's.
love their toast.
Oh, the toast is good. The toast is good. And like I said, I know you're trying to eat healthier now, but let's talk about the chicken game, okay? Canes, you got Wingstop. Are you a Wingstop guy at all?
Yeah, but Wingstop's like, it's whatever.
Okay, all right. That's
Like
why I have you. That's why I have you on,
they
Kenny, because
lost
you.
the Lord a little bit.
Yeah, you're not going to lie to me, so that's why I
They
have you
did.
on. And did we ever talk
Yeah,
about this?
they lost the Lord.
Are you a Chick-fil-A or are you a Popeyes guy?
That's tough because I worked at Chick-fil-A.
But I know
I
you're going to
like
be honest.
Chick-fil-A's chicken better.
You do. Okay. All right.
I like I like I like I like everything about Chick-fil-A better. I just wish they had Popeye's crispiness. I'll give you that. Like and Popeye's family pack, that one hits, especially when you're at work and your coworkers like, "What are we gonna eat?" And they break out. That sometimes Popeyes has really good deals. I'll give them that. Popeyes is not going anywhere. It's on the upper echelon. It's in the Hall of Fame of chicken spots. Um, Cane's is definitely the new kid on the block though. It's just I can't do that tea. It's just too sweet. It's almost gross
Yeah.
sometimes. The
You
lemonade's
mentioned
fire though.
so you're trying to be a little healthier now. What are your options now? Like give me your top three now. I know you're trying to stay away from the heavy stuff. Lunch, like what's a lunch, what's a dinner, and give me a wild card meal.
I'm gonna be honest. Trader Joe's is like my go-to
Okay.
because I cook a lot more now.
Hmm.
I love making spaghetti. Even though I'm not supposed to be eating pasta, I love making spaghetti. It's just really relaxing for me, and it's really good after I finish because like I've kind of learned to be a pretty good cook. But I would say for me, a good burger is timeless.
Okay.
Like I just need a good burger, and that's why I go mom and pops. That's where I go local chains that you can't really find anywhere else. Cause like the normal spots like In and Out is mid. I've talked to thousands of athletes. We all can agree In and Out is mid, or it's great. It just depends on when you get it. Um, for me, if I can get some good ice cream or a good burger, those are like my two. All right, this will be an unhealthy cheat meal, but it's gonna be delicious. That's my thing now. If I don't cook it, I need a good burger. I need a place that has really good ice cream.
When you cook burgers,
That's my
what
criteria as I get older now.
if Kenny's making a burger tonight, how are you making it? Like what how do you go? What's the Oso Grande burger?
All right, so I can either go turkey, I go ground beef,
Okay.
but let's say for this conversation I'll go turkey.
Hmm.
Then I'll put some honey on the bread and I'll grill that up nice. If I'm really into it, I'll make my own grilled like sautéed onions. Um, maybe a tomato,
All right. You got me.
pickles, and then I don't do cheese. I try not to eat like cheese like that,
Hmm.
just because it does horrible things to your joints. But yeah, I would go that maybe like some fries
All right.
or for me sometimes I did make sliders one time, but for me I'm just going a big burger, so I'm probably gonna go like a double turkey burger. Yeah,
You
and the
mentioned
key is when you put honey on the bread and you toast it, it makes it sweeter and it locks in the flavor. That's why I don't really have to use ketchup as much anymore. or any real condiments. Cause like, and then how I like prep the meat too goes into it. So I put a little bit of seasoning, some pepper, just a dash of barbecue sauce. You know, but that's for me. I settle on a good burger.
How does Kenny Berry cook it? You mentioned you like cooking spaghetti. What goes into the spaghetti? Are you just a straight tomato sauce guy, or do you have other stuff in it?
I can do the broke college spaghetti. I can do the broke college student spaghetti where it's just no meat and just sauce,
Hmm.
or hot dogs.
Okay.
But for me, if I'm really chefing it up, I need some onions in there. I gotta cut up some onions, a little bit of garlic. Um, I usually go ground beef.
Okay.
Yeah, ground beef from Trader Joe's. And yeah, I put the whole fixings. I get real fancy with it.
I don't know if you saw my post like a month ago. There's a Trader Joe's now on Reseda right by CSUN. So,
I heard
couple guys
they
said, yeah,
don't they
game
don't know how
changer.
lucky they got it.
Huh? Sorry?
They don't know how lucky they got it.
Yeah, no, it's good. Kevin Strauss said game changer. All right. I'm going to let you go, but I want you to tell me the bus story in Vegas. So for those who don't know, Kenny was covering Big Ten Media Day in Vegas. You bust out and you bust back, and there was two interesting stories that you told me. Go forth, my friend.
Yeah, so this was like because the NFL had back together weekend, so like training camps across the league were all going. So in between media days, like I had work too when I came back.
Mhm.
So like last week, I was leaving Mountain West Media Day. Everything went great, fantastic couple days out there, and I knew I had to come right back around to come out for Big Ten Media Day.
Mhm.
So our bus driver, we're between the where the flexi bus and Greyhound drops you off in downtown Vegas. It's either the bus station or it's between the Trump Tower and the mall. And like when you walk outside, you see the Trump Tower on your left. You can see like Fountain Blue off in the distance, Resort Worlds, Rio. You can see all that stuff. So some dude was tweaking, or he was on something, and he got into a fight with the bus driver because the bus driver wouldn't let him on because his ticket wasn't valid, or some other things. And like, I didn't see it, but I heard it. And then we were stuck there. Like the bus came at like 8:20.
Okay.
We were stuck there for about an hour. I'm like, we're in Vegas, and the beat cops are taking an hour to get here. That was already crazy. Then, but we get on the road. We get like we're an hour and a half away from Vegas, and the bus breaks down. It wasn't. It was. They didn't even. They text us the last second. Oh, this isn't a flexi bus or a Greyhound bus. It was just some random coach bus.
This is on
So
your
the bus
way. This
breaks
is on
down,
your way in, Kenny, or on your way out of Vegas?
leaving Vegas.
Okay. So your
Leaving
work your
Vegas.
your work is done at least. Okay.
Yeah, for Mountain West, it was done, and I was like, I just got to come back in 3 days for Big Ten. So, you know, I'm just thinking, well, all right, I got my headphones, all my stuff, all my gears fully charged. I'm just gonna try to get some sleep. But nope. Bus breaks down. Bus got super hot. Girl got off the bus trying to help the bus driver cool the engine down. She gets a chemical burn of antifreeze on her arm, and it's nasty. I took pictures and gave it to her. Like her skin had like white spots. I was like, you need to go to the doctor as soon as like you get back home. Um, and they told us, okay, well, it's gonna be an hour and a half wait. It wasn't an hour and a half wait. It was like midnight. We were out there like extra 2 hours,
Oh
and
wow.
then he called the bus driver because he said this never happened to him before. He called again, and they said, "Oh, we'll just get to Barstow. It's like 35 miles out."
Hmm.
We we passed like three gas stations, and I'm already getting. I'm like, if this was the we're trapped in the wilderness horror movie survival guide, all of you are dead.
Yeah.
I'm surviving. Like I don't know about y'all. I'm surviving. We're not playing that game. So I'm just sitting here going. Me and like a couple people. One dude on the bus told me, he's like, "Man, this happened to me yesterday, but it happened at 10 a.m." I'm like, "Oh God!" He's like, "Yeah, we have to shut the bus down." It felt like 200 degrees. So thankfully, it happened in the middle of the night. But we're stuck at a gas station in Calico. I should know that what Calico is, or Yerno. Those are like towns before you hit Barstow.
Right.
Like I don't like being in small towns like that in the middle of the desert overnight for too long. Because I'm like, I'm not from here. You don't know what's looking back at you out in the wilderness. There's just too many variables you can't really control. So we were at the station in Calico and Yerno trying to get the bus to work. This is the second time the bus has broke down. And we're just looking at each other like, this is it. Like, we should just stay here. Like, four people got off the bus and just stayed there. I guess they got a ride. I don't know how those people ever got home, if they got home. Then I'm thinking, okay, once we get back on the bus and it seems like he has it working after messing with it for 45 minutes, but if you know anything about an engine, once it blows, it's done.
Right.
So it's like you're just on borrowed time, and he kept, bless his heart, because I mean he did get beat up. Like my bus driver got beat up. This is all happening. It's happening with him. But I was like, you know what? Let me step back and like take my feelings out of this, because this dude has a lot on his head right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Not an easy
we
job.
eventually, yeah, it's like this is what you signed up for. So with that, we go to Barstow, and instead of us stopping, he keeps trying to drive. And we're like, okay, we'll turn the AC off and turn the heat off because the car will last longer that way. Doesn't do that. There's 31 people on the bus. Another bus finally stops after like 6 buses pass us up. This is like 3 in the morning, by the way.
Wow.
So this is another hour and a half. Um, And the guy says, okay, how many people on the bus? It's like 31. He's like, I only have room for 18. Now, me and the other guy who heard it, we already had our gear and we were already walking towards the bus. So it's like, well, you only got 18. More like you got 16 spots, because me and him were right there when we got on the bus. And so, yeah, so that bus driver was only able to take 18 of the 31 people that were stuck. I don't know what happened to everybody else, but we didn't get back to Union Station until like 4:45, and I got home at like 5:30 in the morning. Mind you, my bus left. It was scheduled to leave Vegas at 8 p.m. That's practically like
So you're
9 hours.
expecting get back to Union Station by midnight, home by 1 a.m.
Exactly. And I didn't get home until like 5:30. And I'm just like, I gotta go to work at 10 o'clock tonight. 2 days in a row. I had two overnights back to back. And I'm like, I was on so many espressos at work, it wasn't funny. I'm talking like 6 double shots of espresso. I'm just trying to make sense of what happened out there.
Well, you
But
got to work though. You got to work. That just shows you,
yeah,
man.
everything worked out.
Yeah.
Everything worked out, and it's just funny. Like and like for touchdowns and hands, I coined a term called the Bus Stop Chronicles. It's like some just always happens on, like whether you're flying or you're traveling. Like you gotta remember, like, yeah, man, we're all trying to get home. We're all just trying to get home. So I wasn't really too mad, but I definitely tried to get a refund from Greyhound, and they pretty much were like, "Well, did you die?" They pretty much
Oh
hit me
yeah,
with
they're
it.
gonna give you. They're gonna give
You
you
made
grief.
it's non-refundable, and I was like, it shouldn't have been a 9 hour bus ride to begin with.
Yeah.
That bus should have never left the station. But
Yeah.
then I ended up going back to Vegas, and both trips were fine. I sat by myself the whole time, charged my phone, got some sleep. So all in all, it was great.
Yeah. Well, listen, you'll have a chapter of those travel stories, as you get deeper into sports. You'll have some hilarious travel stories, and that'll be right at the top of the list. Kenny Barry, as always, sorry it took so long. I'm glad you had a couple minutes today to sit down with us, and I appreciate you giving your view on life because you're an interesting cat. You can follow him at Ozo Grande on Twitter, and his Twitter feed is majestic. We got to get you out to a Northridge game this year, though. So we'll have to figure out schedules. I want to get you out to a basketball game. You and Pete together.
For sure, because like it's been a minute because his brother got accepted in the CSUN, so his brother is going to be a freshman at CSUN this
All
year.
right. Well, yeah, you guys can come and you can teach the young guy how to get crazy at a basketball game. So,
How
but
to get free
again,
food at every event too.
that's right. That's right. You got the food too. Uh, whether it's football or whether it's fast food, he's your guy. Kenny Berry, thanks again, my friend.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you.
All right, man. Best to you and everything else. We'll talk to you soon.